Osama bin Laden was born into privilege, but he chose a path that would make him the most feared man in the world. Born in 1957 in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, Osama bin Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden was the 17th of 52 children. His father, Mohammed bin Laden, was a Yemeni immigrant who had built a massive construction empire. The bin Laden family became one of the wealthiest in the kingdom, closely tied to the Saudi royal family. Osama grew up surrounded by luxury, but his interests were different. While his brothers were drawn to business and modern life, Osama was drawn to religion, discipline, and a rigid interpretation of Islam. He attended elite schools and later studied economics and business administration at King Abdulaziz University, but his heart was elsewhere. In the late 1970s, the world was changing. The Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in 1979, igniting a call to jihad across the Muslim world. Osama, then in his early 20s, saw it as his divine duty. He left Saudi Arabia and joined the Afghan resistance, known as the Mujahideen. At first, he funded fighters using his wealth. But over time, he became more than just a backer, he became a warrior. He built training camps, dug tunnels, and even fought on the front lines. He developed a reputation, disciplined, fearless, and utterly committed to jihad. It was here, in the mountains of Afghanistan, that Osama bin Laden was transformed from a rich Saudi youth into a militant ideologue. By the late 1980s, he co-founded Maktab al-Khidmat, an organization that funneled money, fighters, and supplies to the Afghan resistance. After the Soviets withdrew in 1989, bin Laden returned to Saudi Arabia. But instead of being celebrated as a hero, he was sidelined. Saudi Arabia, a close ally of the United States, was growing increasingly westernized. And when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait in 1990, bin Laden offered to use his Mujahideen to defend the kingdom. But the Saudis rejected him, turning instead to the U.S. military for protection. To bin Laden, this was betrayal. He viewed the presence of American troops on Saudi soil, home to Islam's holiest cities, as a desecration. His anger grew into fury, and fury into action. In 1991, he was expelled from Saudi Arabia and moved to Sudan, where he continued building his network. It was there that he formally founded al-Qaeda, meaning the base. His vision had evolved. The jihad wasn't just about fighting Soviets in Afghanistan, it was a global struggle against Western influence, especially the United States. Throughout the 1990s, bin Laden orchestrated or inspired several attacks. In 1993, terrorists bombed the World Trade Center in New York. In 1998, al-Qaeda bombed U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, killing over 200 people. In 2000, they attacked the USS Cole in Yemen, killing 17 American sailors. Despite these horrors, most of the world didn't yet know his name. That changed on September 11, 2001. In a coordinated attack, 19 terrorists hijacked for commercial airplanes. 2 planes slammed into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center. Another hit the Pentagon. The 4th crashed in Pennsylvania after passengers fought back. Nearly 3,000 people were killed. The world was stunned. It was the deadliest terrorist attack in human history, and it was orchestrated by Osama bin Laden and al-Qaeda. The U.S. response was swift. President George W. Bush declared a war on terror. American forces invaded Afghanistan, where the Taliban regime had been harboring bin Laden, but capturing him wouldn't be easy. Bin Laden vanished into the mountains. For years, he released video and audio recordings from undisclosed locations, praising attacks and calling for more. Despite the full force of U.S. intelligence and military power, he remained elusive. Rumors swirled. Was he in Afghanistan? Pakistan? Dead already? He became a ghost, always out of reach, always one step ahead. Meanwhile, the world changed dramatically. Airports transformed, wars raged in Iraq and Afghanistan. Surveillance expanded, entire nations lived in fear of the next attack. Yet, bin Laden remained a symbol of defiance to some, and a symbol of pure evil to others. Behind the scenes, however, a secret was growing. In 2010, U.S. intelligence traced a trusted courier to a mysterious compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. It was unusually fortified, with high walls and no phone or internet connections. Suspicion grew. Could bin Laden be hiding there? President Barack Obama faced a monumental decision. After months of planning and surveillance, he authorized a daring mission. On the night of May 1, 2011, two U.S. Navy SEAL helicopters slipped into Pakistan under the cover of darkness. They stormed the compound. In a firefight that lasted less than 40 minutes, Osama bin Laden was shot and killed. His body was identified through DNA and buried at sea, in accordance with Islamic custom, the U.S. government said. The world reacted with a mixture of relief, joy, disbelief, and reflection. The man who had haunted global consciousness for a decade was finally gone, but the damage he inflicted lived on. The wars, the deaths, the surveillance state, the fractured Middle East, all part of his legacy. And so was the polarization. To many Muslims around the world, bin Laden was a villain who had hijacked their religion. To his followers, he was a martyr. To the West, he was a monster, a symbol of extremism and violence. But beyond ideology, Osama bin Laden left behind a chilling lesson: how one man, armed with an idea and driven by vengeance, could shake the entire world. In the years after his death, al-Qaeda was weakened but not destroyed. Other terror groups like ISIS rose from the ashes, more brutal and chaotic. The war on terror dragged on. New enemies emerged, but bin Laden's shadow lingered. Why did he do it? That question still haunts historians, politicians, and the public. Was it ideology, revenge, a belief that the West was corrupt and needed to be destroyed? In his own writings, bin Laden claimed to be defending Islam from U.S. aggression, from sanctions, from occupation. But most of the world rejected this as a justification for mass murder. And his personal contradictions were glaring. A billionaire's son who waged war on Western wealth. A man who lived in caves, yet used modern technology to spread his message. A religious extremist who killed fellow Muslims in his quest for power. His life is a study in radical transformation and radical destruction. From a young, soft-spoken Saudi student to the world's most wanted terrorist, Osama bin Laden's journey is both terrifying and tragic. He shattered families, sparked wars, and changed the world forever. But he also united nations in opposition, sparked dialogues on extremism, and revealed how dangerous ideologies can grow unnoticed until it's too late. In the end, his dream of a global jihad failed. Al-Qaeda fractured, his family distanced themselves, and his name became synonymous not with revolution, but with terror. Perhaps the greatest irony is that bin Laden wanted to be remembered as a hero of Islam, but history will remember him as a man who brought suffering to millions, Muslims and non-Muslims alike. A man who thought he was a savior, but became a destroyer. And a man whose end came not with a final speech or a glorious battle, but in the silence of a dark compound, thousands of miles from the war he started. Call to action. If you found this story insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives that shaped our world. Let us know in the comments, what do you think history will remember most about Osama bin Laden?